First person on the panel here is Gina Stiles Lias. And Gina is the Director of Local Arts Agencies, Community Engagement, and Equity in Research at Americans for the Arts. So, welcome. Tell us a little bit about not only you, but what you do and Americans for the Arts.
Yes. Ooh, this mic. Somebody gave me a mic. Y'all in trouble. When I say hey, you say hi. Hey. Hey. When I say turn up, you say how high? Turn up. Turn up. Okay, now that we're back. My name is Jenna. You can also call me Dr. Jenna Stiles Lias because I earned those 3 letters at the bottom of my name. But only one time. Only one time. I did it for my mama. And I am so excited. I work at Americans for the Arts. They're an advocacy organization that's been around for about 60 years. The work that I do is in community engagement and equity. And I'm a mom, I'm a soror, and I am a person who loves community. I'm also an artist. So that's my introduction.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. And our next guest, every time we see each other, we say we are going to meet, we are going to talk. It is Sibongile Cook. I had no idea we would be talking in front of people.
Here's our
But
meeting.
it is indeed a pleasure. Sibongile is the Director of Destination Development at the wonderful DMPED, which is the Deputy Mayor of Economic Development Office. So if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and also the Deputy Mayor's Office of Economic Development as well.
Okay, so I'm a creative, I'm a servant, I love community, and that's it. I'm gonna just stop there so we can get into the meat and taters of it all.
All excellent and wonderful things, a creative and a servant to the community. And we love that. And you are very popular for all of the wonderful things you do. And I must say to DMPED, it is very important in what you do, and you're being very humble. But as you all develop across this city, art and culture has been a very important part of that, because when you walk into a building, you see art from a local artist. You see design that speaks to the culture. You see all of these wonderful things. So thanks, DMPED, for always tapping into the arts, because you could just build a building, but you build it with thought and creativity that showcases the arts and the culture of DC. So doctor, you told me I had to say that one time, so I got you, doctor. We live now in an age where the facts, the data, the information is very important. And Americans for the Arts and what you do by way of research has, you have all of the data, you have all of the key findings. So tell us from your research and the economic impact of the arts, what is important for communities of color?
That's a really good question. One that I have to answer like this. I'm gonna tell you a story. So this is my first time in Anacostia. Yes, I love
Welcome.
it here. I love it here. Okay. The mural I saw right by the barbershop with the girl with the 2 puffs. I was like, those are my children. It made me feel like I was home. And that's the beauty and value of the arts. So the doctor indicates that I'm a researcher, so I have lots of data points to offer you. And the value of the data points are not just like numbers you guys want to remember and like take with you, but the value of the data points is because we are all advocates. Raise your hand if you're an advocate. It should be everybody now. It should be everybody stand up, right? We are all advocates. And the goal of the data that I hope to present today is so that it's not just Christina doing all the advocate work, it's everybody in the community, because that's how we grow. So with that in mind, I would say that the industry from a national perspective, so we're a national data advocacy space, the industry is a $151.7 billion industry. We learned that from our Arts and Economic Prosperity study. It's a study that we surveyed almost 250,000 people. And we also surveyed organizations. That survey happened in all 50 states and in Puerto Rico. So we have lots of data that suggests that we are a big old industry. The Bureau of Economic Analysis, you'll hear people say BEA, say that DC's art and culture industry, so that includes nonprofit organizations, commercial organizations, as well as education, is a $13.8 billion industry. Billion, right? I know that had was I was like billion, right? And the industry here creates 56,776 jobs. So thinking of that amount of industry is 8.4% of the gross domestic product. So it's more part of the community, part of the industry than, let's say, transportation, education, and construction, right? So it's a big, big, big number. What does that mean for communities of color? Well, the first time we did this for AEP 6, we intentionally said, you got to go out, local arts agencies, and survey organizations that serve the global majority, also known as BIPOC, also known as Black, Indigenous people of color. So we gathered a baseline of data from those organizations, not the people. We didn't single out the people. We did go and see how these communities were working. What we found is that the way that they value the spaces that they're in, 87% of people said that them purchasing their ticket was their way of ensuring that this venue or arts exhibit or space event continues for future generations, preservation. 88% of people said this art, this venue, this experience is a sense of pride. It gives them a sense of pride in their community. So that means that people really care about what we're doing here, right? And so what that means for the people, and if you want to put the economics on it, they say that people spend about $38 outside of the cost of admission when they come to see a show. So that means like they get their hair did, they get their outfit. I bought a new lipstick today just for y'all. Like it's all of that. All of that. I went to the internet. That's an e-commerce job. There's lots of industry that comes into this work. And so when it comes to industry, we have the best tourism driver in arts and culture. So when you think of who comes into town, we say $38. People who come into town who are visitors, we ask the zip code, they spent double that. And that doesn't include those people who were lodging. Lodging people on average spent about $100, right? So it's a big, big industry. And in that vein, that means that we can advocate for if we are spending the same amount of money, if people are feeling the same way about our organizations, then we should invest the same way. And that hasn't been always the case, right? So that's what it means for BIPOC organizations. The value of investment, the baseline of data that we could say, hey, y'all are investing in this particular Eurocentric industry or this event, but you're not investing the same in this other thing. And now you have the data to say, wait a minute, but we spending the same. People are spending the same. People are feeling the same. We should get the same. So that's what the value of the data does. It helps to make people feel empowered to fight for what they deserve when it comes to funding and investment.
Great. And the data and the study is available online, right, at the website for Americans for the Art. You talked policy, you talked advocacy, you talked a little bit, kind of alluded to the legislation, because of course, if we advocate, it creates the policy, it creates the legislation, and all of that is tied to funding. So how can we use this data to get more funding into the communities? And if you can kind of map out 3 things that individuals can do in here for advocacy.
Yeah, that's a really great question. 3 things that individuals can do for advocacy and then how to use the data. So the first thing that you can do for advocacy is know the message. What are you trying to say? Because the arts and culture can run the gambit of like arts and well-being, arts and military, arts and education. There's so many different reasons to support the arts. So figure out your message and then figure out who you need to say it to. There's some different ways that messages come. So if you're going to the Hill down the street, which is weird, like that in DC terms, is like right here. If you're going to the Hill, you might need to lead with that economic data message, right? You might want to lead with, 82% of people believe that the arts and culture beautify communities, right? You might want to lead with, you probably don't want to lead with that. You want to lead with, we create 56,776 jobs, right? You want to lead with $13 billion industry. You want to lead with those dollars, those numbers amounts. But if you're going to a philanthropy space, so somebody who's donating or somebody who has more of a heart space, you might want to lead with those other feel good sort of spaces. So know your message, know who you're about to say this to. That's the second part. And the third most important part is who tells the message? Who's the messenger? Sometimes it is you. Sometimes you're too deep in the weeds of it. You should maybe fall back and let somebody else tell the message. So those are sort of the tips of how to advocate. And then how to use the data is just in that way, making sure that you understand your audience and making sure that you have the right data points. So I'm gonna give you a couple. Like, for instance, we're in a divided time. We're in a divided time. It's really divisive. The country's a mess. When we talk about the a public opinion poll, Americans for the Arts created a poll called Americans Speak Out About the Arts. What we found is that when we polled over 1,000 people, just general, these aren't arts people, these are people that we just polled, random people. They said that 72% of them said that the arts and culture help them feel a shared experience that goes beyond race, gender, and other differences. 73% of people say that seeing the arts helps them better understand other cultures, right? So those are some critical things that you might want to know. There's another study that was just published by Independent Sector. They're a sector that supports nonprofits around the country. They said that obviously the Americans feel like this is a really divisive time, and 94% of people are worried about the division in the country, but they trust nonprofits over corporations, over government, over media to bring people together. So you use the data that makes the best story for yourself, and didn't just learn the data. So you can go to the website. You can also stay tuned because I know Christina is going to participate in AEP 7. It happens every 5 years, right? And that will be a survey project where we surveyed 250,000. We're probably going to survey probably 1 million maybe next time, right? So we're going to make this big, and we're going to have that data from an audience perspective and from an organization perspective, not only the economic impact, but also the social impact of that work. So I hope I answered that question.
Yes, very well, very well. And a wonderful transition because now you know how to advocate, you know the things that you do to get things done. You have a resource and a tool with the data. You take it to the people that you advocate to, which sometimes is the government. What a wonderful transition. Savangale. So when people come to you to advocate and they come to kind of pitch their case, what are you looking for?
Well, I mean, I'm always interested in ensuring that we can help anybody meet them where they are and help them fulfill the dream that they're trying to accomplish and the problem that they're trying to solve. And so, art is a part of the economic development formula. And so, in having discussions with individuals, nonprofits, organizations, whatever it is, whatever your vision is, something that I've been doing now for 3 mayors and 6 deputy mayors is communicating that these things don't happen quickly, that I would love to plant seeds and ensure that anyone who has a vision or a path for their lives that's around the creative space or business, period, that you're able to harvest over and over and over again. So we're going to play chess. When you meet me, that is what we're going to do. We're going to continue to play chess because that's how things happen for the long term when you think about sustainability. And so when I'm talking to individuals, it's about what is your vision? Do you have a plan? Who are your stakeholders? Who is your tribe? Who are the people that you're being involved with? Do you have a community of folks that you can talk to, lean on? What are your resources right now? What have you done thus far? So it's not about you come to us and say, fix my problem. It's, I have this idea, I want to do X. Okay, so what have you invested in your own journey? And then let me see how I can come to the table and support that. And so it needs to be, a relationship that is demonstrated by your your excitement and zeal around whatever your path is. And I need to see that you are invested in yourself in some kind of way. And that doesn't necessarily mean monetary, but I need to see that you're invested in whatever your vision is. And if that is true, and I can give you homework and you can come back to me as many times as you need to so that I can help you get where you need to go. And so that it doesn't matter who you are. If you're coming to me, that is typically what I usually do. Give some instruction, understand, here's your homework. Please come back. Let's talk about the next steps. And then when you're ready, then I'm absolutely ready to set you free to do all the things that'll allow you to get where you need to go.
Excellent. I hope you all are taking notes, taking mental notes and writing some things down in my head there. So could you give us some kind of successful models of things that DimPed has done or case studies that people can look to that show success?
Yeah, right down the street. So let's take a walk right here. Let's go down MLK and now what's called Marionberry Avenue. Did I get it right? Okay. Marionberry Avenue. So let's just start with grounded, healing arts. Let's just start with the Go-Go Museum. Let's also keep walking down We Act Radio. Let's continue to walk around the corner and have the Anacostia Arts Center and the businesses inside of that center. Let's continue to go around, and I'm just talking about arts. I'm not talking about the other businesses. Let's keep going down, and you have Hanfleur a gallery where Anika Hobbs is located doing her beautiful experience and installation there. Let's keep going down, and you have more businesses. So those are just the arts in this in just that intersection. In addition to the arts in that intersection, what has happened is we have a Busboy and Poets that's here. The bookstore happened. I mean, that happened even, that predates a lot of these things. We also have, which also is a recipient from work that we've done. We have, what else is over here? Kitchen Savages. We have Zapatillas. We have Baby Einstein, which now I know that there was a fire, but guess what? They just bought a building that we helped them provide. So let's talk about, what is it? Oh, my barbecue joints. D-City Smokehouse. Let's talk about our urban ag organization that's right next door that should be opening pretty soon. So that is a demonstration of work that has happened and how art can be extremely catalytic to a community. And over the last 10 years, those are all investments that have taken place within the office. Again, like I said, long game. We play chess. Those are all chess moves to ensure that a community continues to thrive. And it becomes catalytic because there's a Starbucks here. Now we have this space. We have some additional space. What's the other one? The Art Center. And obviously, Art and Culture District is one of the biggest investments 2 years ago. Like these are all things that are a part of the strategy. It's a part of the formula. It's not like an afterthought. This is very deliberate in what we have been trying to do and what we are doing, and what you are seeing is evidence of that.
Outstanding. Give it up for all of the amazing things right here in the Arts and Culture District in Anacostia. And like
Christina.
we went, oh yes, coming up soon.
Tour.
You took us on a tour. There are a
That's one
couple,
of the
I mean, I think
intentional
I've been
journey.
to all of
Intentional.
those places.
Yeah. And if you haven't, you need to. They're
Yes.
amazing. Get you some tea, go over, see
Get a
some
plant.
Go get you a plant.
Get some
Go
art.
over and get a Zapatillas, get some kitchen set. The food is amazing. You got barbecue. You got all kind of options. There's great things happening at Anacostia Arts Center. There's so much that's taking place here, and it's not done. It's catalytic. So it's exciting to see how the evolution of this neighborhood is changing. It's transformational. So it's exciting.
Excellent. So you said earlier, this is your first time coming to Anacostia.
Yes.
After hearing all of that, what are you doing the next time you come to Anacostia?
I got to give me a hotel.
Yes.
And I'm debating between bringing the children or not. That's the hardest part. Is like bring the kids or not. Which is cool because like when you think about communities, there are people who agree with what is happening here. Like everything you said in a story, I was like, oh, I'm gonna take that story and say it in my next my next thing, because people, this is what happens. Growth happens when you invest in community from arts and culture's perspective. That's what makes people want to live here, want to come here, want to work here. It's the same. It's a cyclical thing. And I loved hearing the gentleman who owns the Go-Go Museum talking about pathways in the arts and education and getting careers. They're going to be a part of those 2.6 billion jobs around the country. So those are really interesting things that are happening right here already. And just to think, if there's more investment there, what happens next? If there's more investment, not of money, yes, of money, and time and people. I think this is really interesting.
You know, and I would like to say that that's really important. While these things exist and we're celebrating them now, that can't be the end of the story. We now need to patronize the businesses and the experiences that have been created, that have taken a long time to come here. We all need to find ways to be repeat customers and enjoy and celebrate what is here. In order for it to last, we need to be involved and come and patronize all of the experiences that take place and share it with other folks as well. That's how this works. It's not, okay, now it's here, set it and forget it. This is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. We need to make sure that we continue to feed our community.
Absolutely. And you all make my job so easy because I have all these questions and you've covered so many of them. The next question was like, what can we do to kind of make things better and to make sure that things are, stabilize and we create the growth here. And part of that is we talk about all of the wonderful things, but what can we, and that we can be the public, and you talked about this a little bit, besides making sure that we go to these businesses and we figure out a way to support them, whether that is ordering the food online and picking it up as you go home, ordering the artwork online, or visiting in the space. Like, what else can we do to make sure that this thrives for both of you?
I think it's what I've seen in my experience and what has transpired here. None of this happened, in like a puppy dog and rainbow, rainbow bright kind of fashion, right? There has to be accountability from the community saying, we don't like that, do that better. Or have you thought about X? I think engagement is important and it has to happen, and dialogue has to happen on both sides. And also in that, and it has to be ongoing. That can't be, okay, this is great. How do we continue to improve? So iron sharpens iron. The community sharpens us in shape and inform, and we do the same. There is a relationship there that has to happen in order for communities to grow and continue to be strengthened. So I think ongoing engagement is critical to the success of any neighborhood, and that is what has happened in what we are witnessing, now, and it has to continue now more than ever. So I think that's just really important that we continue to have these kinds of conversations. Amazing leaders are born out of the ashes of the work that is taking place here. So there are more Christinas, there are more Anacostia Art Centers, there are more Groundeds, there are more Rons, there are more young people that are inspired by the community leaders that they see, so that this can continue.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would just say, everybody say, bring one, bring one.
Bring one, bring
Bring
one.
one, bring one. Bring one, bring one. Here's the thing. When we start to diversify how we this is like our arts community, how we as an arts community show up in other spaces, that brings attention to the space we want, right? So artists and the people in this audience, right? Some of them are art. Raise your hand if you're an artist. I just want to see who's in the room. Raise your hand if you are an arts administrator, somebody who makes and who's the backbone of doing that work. Okay. Raise your hand if you're an arts supporter. Okay, that should be everybody. Okay, then all of my art supporters in the place. When there are school board, when there are other general municipality elections and things like that, boards of things, community improvement, kind of like all of those things should have an artist presence in the room. They should be in the room, because guess what happens? When somebody's in the room and these decisions are being made, that means that they're thinking about the person who's sitting right next to them or across the hall from them or across the table. If you're not in the room, then sometimes your interests are not there. So bring one. So if you have a connection with the folks who are making some big decisions in the area, bring yourself to their spaces and show up and say, hey, I want to talk to you about this thing, right? Because I think we want to keep it alive. So bring people with you, show up into spaces, and present yourself to different diverse spaces, not just in arts and culture, but when it comes to community-centered events and services.
Excellent. So Dr. Styles Laez and Sabangale will be around. Be free. Walk up to them, talk to them. They are here for you. I'd like to get the audience involved, and I have to wrap up here, but if I have a question for you, raise your hand if you have a response. We heard about all these amazing things here in Anacostia. We know of all these wonderful things that are going on. What else would you like to see here in Anacostia?
I would like to see Anacostia Station have its name changed to Arts and Culture Station.
All right. Okay. She's taking notes. All right. Right back here, Brian. I do. You're an artist. You did the Sapadilla's mural. Yeah.
Oh,
24-hour access artist studio space for artists to create.
Excellent. And that's J. Paul, right? Just Paul. Got it. I'm sorry. I got my glasses. And one more. Okay, over here.
Yes, educators. I would like my students to be invited and targeted to come into the event.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you all have been a wonderful audience. There are more panel discussions coming up. Keep those questions, keep those thoughts coming. I cannot thank you all, all of this intelligence, all this beauty, all of this knowledge, all this accomplishment right here in Anacostia. We thank you, we appreciate you, and they've got a ton of questions for you, so get out there and have a good time. All right, thank you.
Thank you.